I think we are live streaming.
Yeah, it's visible on the links. I'll just put a message on Telegram for everyone to join.
I owe my success to my coaches. I have lost.
Cool. Hey guys, hi Gamer Rays. Good to see you. There are around 13 people here. We can just start off and then as questions come, we'll kind of go about it. But thank you for coming in on a Sunday night. Thank you to the three people here. They are current JBIMS students. They have cracked CET last year and they are currently in JB studying. They've just finished their semester one exams as well, so they are enjoying a bit of break hopefully after this. But yeah, thank you so much to the three of you for coming here. So we have Jaydeep, Prasad, and Shubham with us here for this week. And the main idea here is again that there are 5 weeks left for CET, so we kind of want to focus as much as possible on how to go about the last 5 weeks. Right? This is a very crucial time. You kind of need to figure out so much. There are so many things running in your mind, whether you'll get into JBMS, how CET is going to be, what the pattern is going to look like, sectional hai, will it not be sectional, jumbled आएगा, क्या होता है? I know there are lots of questions going on in your head. हॉस्टल का भी सवाल आ गया यहाँ पे तो मतलब हॉस्टल का काफी दूर है. Let's focus on CET right now. But the idea is there's a lot running through your head. We understand that, so we're here to answer questions. So one after the other, we'll kind of just go about it. But why don't we start with just a short introduction of the three of you? Jaideep, you've already been here, so we'll start off with you. But yeah,
Yeah, sure. So a little bit about my background. I completed my graduation in 2021, and after that, I worked for a couple of years. I took CET three times. In first was in 2021, where I got like around 93 percentile, and in 2022 I had 99.36 percentile. At that time, I realized कि थोड़ा और efforts डालेंगे तो I can make it to the JB, right? So I gave CET in 2023 as well when I left my job completely, took a gap for like 4 5 months. And in that, I got around 99.88 percentile. And here I came to JBIMS for the batch of 25.
nice. We can ask you a lot of questions about how you've improved in a year. So if there's anyone who wants to know that, please put that in the chats. Like over time, कैसे improve करते between attempts. Prasad, next.
Yeah, sure. My name is Prasad Suroshe. I have completed my engineering in 2021. So I have gave CET three times in 2021, 22, and 23. So in 21, I scored 98.64. Couldn't convert any college, JBMS as such. And after that, in 2022, I left my job and prepared whole time for CET. Scored 99.77. Fell short of I think 3 to 4 ranks and repeated it again in the 2023. Scored 99.94. So yeah, that's about me.
That's a tough year before this. So it's great that you've
Yeah,
gotten now and you've always got through. So that's
yeah,
great. That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, Shubham, all yours now.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Shubham Mari. I have completed my electronics engineering from Vivekanand Institute, which is in Chembur. Post that, I worked for Accenture for around 2 years. Then decided to pursue my MBA, and I have given CET thrice. My first attempt, it was somewhere 99 percentile. In my second attempt, it was 99.68, and in my final attempt, the very right now, because of which I am in JB, it is 99.86. So this is about myself.
Nice. It's a panel of experienced CD takers. So they know all the exam patterns, what's happened in the last 3 years, the ups and downs of the papers and everything. Perfect. Great to have you guys here. We'll just take a few questions as you'd want. I'll leave you guys to it. But thank you so much for being here once again. All
Thanks,
yours.
Anay. Yeah, I think we can start with one question here: how to prepare for CET along with CMAT. So my take on this is that CET and CMAT more or less have same structure for these QALR and verbal ability. So if you are preparing for one examination, automatically you are preparing for CMAT as well. Just that there are additional sections for like innovation and entrepreneurship. I think there is one section additional. So you have to additionally prepare for that as well. So the and apart from that, couple of mocks you have to take for the CMAT. So more or less the preparation is overlapping. Any takes on that, Prasad, Shubham?
Yeah, so I have actually taken CMAT in 2022. I scored 99.16 percentile in it. So only difference between CMAT and CET is, I think, as Jaydeep said, I think the GK section and entrepreneurship education section, if I'm right about that. So these two sections are only different in the CMAT, and I think CMAT's testing level is quite similar, or I think lesser than the CET. So if you are preparing for CET, you are definitely good to go for CMAT. Just give some time from your day-to-day studies to the GK section and entrepreneurship education section, and you are good to go, I think.
Okay. Shubham, you want to say anything here?
Yeah, so most of the things have been covered by both of them. So just a basic idea that CMAT is very similar to CET, and I would say that it is much easier than CET. But I will say that it is difficult to score a top percentile in that because the number of seats taken through CMAT are very less as compared to CET. So although it is a easy exam, but getting into JB with that particular exam is something which is more difficult than CET. So apart from that, I think most of the things have been covered by both of them. And yeah, I have not taken CMAT in any of my year, but yeah, this is something I am very sure of.
Cool, yeah. So, Prasad, you can take any question next if you choose.
Yeah, I think Saurav is asking about I'm not getting marks in VARC. Accuracy is too low and time भी बहुत लग रहा है. So how should I approach that, or rather should I invest more time in LR? See, I think with regards to JBIMS, I think you should not as such leave any topic. So if you are struggling in VARC, I think a good strategy would be to take as much sectionals or mocks you can, because that is where you improve your speed. And I think VARC is more about the intuition you have about that language. So the more you solve the question, the more variety you will see. So I think apart from that, you can also take a note of all the questions, grammar questions specifically, where you are facing the difficulty, and daily revise it. So I think after some point of time, there are if you have around 30 to 40 questions set with you of grammar rules, I think it in the CET or in the mocks, it starts repeating in some way or other. So I think that is where you can improve your score in the VRC section.
Yeah, Prasad, he rightly actually mentioned the structure of the grammar rules and all. So, additional to his what he said is that when you are attempting VA RC, right? So, more or less, you need to go from questions to the passage type of approach, where because the answer is more in most cases is plug and play. Kind of you just see the answer and you know mark the right answer that way. So there are no much of a interpretation or inference required. More or less you will find the answer in the passage itself. And in the cases of where you are asked for synonyms, antonyms, or within phrases, so you have to check which option is closest to the meaning of the question that has been asked. So more or less based on the context that is given, you can actually improve your probability of getting the answers correct. So you in the most cases you will be able to like mark two three remove two three options which are like far away from what is given into the question. So elimination is one approach you can try. That's the probability you have to increase in that case. Shiva, many takes.
No, I think we are good to go. I think everything has been added by you guys.
Shiva, you want to take any question from the chat?
Yes. Actually, I had got one question. Yeah. Someone just asked about the exam pattern, the section-wise concept, clearance and practice. I'm stuck in 120 and need to improve 30 marks in the next few days. Okay. So talking about the exam pattern, this is something that from the last few years has been like very different. So we can't predict what the exam pattern exactly would be. So uh, we were in the similar situation where we don't know what the pattern would look like. So what we did was we prepared for every pattern that can come. We prepared for section with sections. We prepared without sections. We've also prepared something which might come because I guess in CET, which was in 21 or 22, there had questions from logs, sorry, logs, not the questions such as trigonometry and all those questions were there. So we also had a just a brief about those sections that okay, so if trigonometry comes, then what will be the solution, that how are we going to tackle it. So you have to there's no fixed pattern through which you can do. Just go through all of the patterns, just work on your question selection, because if any pattern that comes into the exams, what will matter always is the question selections. uh, Always you have to pick the easy ones and complete the section as soon as possible, so it should not matter that you are stuck into any questions. That is the one thing.
Okay, so my thought here is if you're stuck on this any score above 110, right? Like it's my understanding based on whatever marks I gave, is that you are bound to get stuck on one score or another, because more or less the maximization part comes after that area where you are the based on the test that you have, you may able to solve difficult questions or not. So right now, I don't think you can just decide for yourself, like if I'm getting this 120 marks, I need to score 30 more. If paper comes easier, you might be able to score like 150 odd, and there is chance that you need additional 10 or 20 marks. So kind of the depends on difficulty of the exams, right? So more or less, you need to understand that you need to cover every simple question across the complete test. So composition of questions might differ. Sometimes there will be more questions from quant, and sometimes there will be more questions from VRC, right? So you need to be able to solve every easy level of question, which can be solved within maybe like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, those kind of. So focus on that. So even if you score low, but in that particular mock, you have understanding ki I have covered every easy level questions based on maybe peer comparison or when you talk with friends. So I think you successfully cracked that mock particularly. Maybe Prasad can add here something.
Yeah, Jaydeep, I think Seamer has asked similar doubt. So I think doubt is I'm currently scoring average of 90 marks, and every time I analyze it, I realize that it's not the concepts that I'm lacking in, but the speed and selection of questions. So how can I reach to 100? So to anyone or everyone who is stuck at a specific score, I think the one thing that I can suggest is pick out the type of questions that you are most comfortable with. So for someone it will be abstract reasoning, for someone will be verbal reasoning. So every section will have some types of questions that you are comfortable with. So my suggestion would be to group those type of questions and attempt those questions in the first parts itself. So I would like to elaborate on my strategy. So I clubbed some of type of questions like abstract reasoning, verbal reasoning, except the RC part. The DIs were I was very comfortable with DIs. After that, the whole logic questions except puzzles. So I found these type of questions very easy to and quickly to solve. So I grouped this bunch of questions and solved those in a one go in the jumbled mock specifically. So what did it gave me? I think it gave me a lot of speed while solving the questions, and I was not stuck anywhere because those are the questions where my forte is. So I think that is the one thing that helped me a lot while improving my score. And the key to here is, I think, when you have clubbed the easy type of questions and you have clubbed the difficult types of questions for you, the key will be to reduce the type of difficult questions that you're encountering. So if you are encountering difficulty in the profit and loss or puzzles, you will have to solve the at least 20-30 questions every day of those topics to get good with it and reduce that difficult type of question section. So that is the one thing you should focus on.
Thanks, Prasad. I think this covers pretty much the solving of how you should strategize on the test. I think we can take this one, this passive mocks. So, like the concept of passive mocks is that you don't actually solve anything. based on whatever your mental capabilities are, the speed calculations, the formulas that you know, you just go from 1 to 200 questions, quickly solving one at a time. You don't use pen on paper, anything. You just the question in front of you and just your natural abilities. So thought behind that key, how much you are able to solve without stressing yourself. That's the concept behind passive mock. It's just the basic understanding. If you are under stress, what is your natural ability to solve that particular mock? The more the passive mocks you take, the better you are understanding about the test. You get comfortable with the test, and you gauge the your comfort level for a particular mock taking strategy. Like, I think there is less that I think we are approaching 1 month for the examination, right? So I think it's time to start more and more passive mocks. So maybe one can get comfortable in those aspects as well. You guys can add here.
So about passive mocks, I would say that I have not given any passive mocks, but it is very helpful because there are many, like a lot of questions in CT that can be solved without using pen and paper. Uh, and it is important because there are like ways, and it saves actually a lot of time while solving questions. So if you can practice those kind of things in an actual mock scenario, it would be very useful. Apart from that, also when you try to like use your pen and paper, there might be cases where you might uh, you might just go wrong while writing or something, a number, or let's say while putting a number, you might get mistaken because of it. And that kind of although you know how to solve it, but because of that reason you solve it wrongly, and the marks are wrong. So if you try it mentally, even some days ago, Prasad and I were like talking about the same thing, that there were many questions which even now we can solve just because our concepts were clear, and we were solving that orally. So it's a good idea to solve through passive mocks and build those kind of skills that will help you in the exam as well. I think there was a good question that what was your day like while preparing a month before exam? So I'll start with mine. Basically, I was not very good at verbal, but I was practicing it daily. So whenever I used to get up, I used to read like one or two passages, so that I have my reading habits in flow. So after doing two RCs, then I used to go on some jumbled sentences. I used to solve those things. All was taking more on also verbal part, that was the words, vocabularies, and all those things. So for the initial 2 or 2.5 hours I used to work on verbal. After that I used to take a mock. For a mock I used to give around two and for around 2.5 hours, and take a small break, and then after giving the mock, analyze it for another 3 or 4 hours. What whichever questions I used to get wrong, or even if it was right but I was taking more time, I used to solve it again. And if it was taking more time, I used to think that what else can be done so that it can be solved within a minute or so. So I used to compare my timings with the topper who was there in the mock series. So that gave me an idea, that gave me a benchmark, that okay, I have to solve it within this minute because the other person is solving it. So again, then I used to find ways from here and there if I could solve it quickly. After that, once the mock analysis was done, I used to again go and solve some DIs, some puzzles, and I think that's it. Most of the time was covered in all those things. So I'll suggest that practice for most of the time in your day, but also what you should keep in mind is that you should not overburden yourself. You should not skip your like food, your sleep, because CET is more of a stress management exam, I would say, that you have to manage your stress. You know how to solve the questions, you know everything, because the difficulty is not that high. But what is tested in this exam is the how well you manage your stress. So you have to also work on that. So yeah, that's it.
I think Shubham followed very rigorous schedule in his preparation time. So my preparation was more or less I targeted this aspect. Ki I want to control the input. I didn't plan for hours. I just thought ki I will cover 100 questions in a day because I wanted to build that endurance. My weakest point was that I couldn't sit through every question. I would get burnt out easily. So that was my weakest point. So more or less my strategy was ki every day I need to cover 100 questions more or less. I would plan based on mocks that I took. Like some days I would get low mark. I observed this trend over my preparation period. In some of the mocks I scored very less in quants and in the good marks in VARC section. So I would prioritize topics from quants it for that week. I would solve 20-30 questions from particular chapter or maybe where I lagged during those mocks. So my target was that I would cover 100 questions across different different sections, and I would cover around 4 to 5 hours daily. So I didn't particularly track those, but I tracked that 100 question का quantum meet होना है मेरा. So that was my approach here.
Yeah, so I think talking about my day in the preparation, when I was preparing for full time for the CET, I used to start my day with the revision of specific things that were really needed for the CET. So I used to start with the speed maths. I used to revise tables, squares, cube roots, fractions daily because I think that adds up to the speed that we will have in the quant section. So the first 1 hour of my preparation would be specifically for the revision. I used to revise my notes also about the quants and verbal section specifically because I had taken notes of the all the difficult questions that I have encountered in the mocks in the previous mocks. So that gave me areas where I have worked upon, and I had a clear benchmark where how much I have worked, and these are the type of questions that I will be able to solve in the coming mocks. So that's how I used to improve with the each mock I took. After that, I used to give 1 or 2 mocks. So 1 month prior to the exam, I gave around 2 mocks a day. I analyzed both of them. So that was largely about my preparation in a day. But uh, apart from that, I had a list of topics where I was struggling to have that speed, or I was struggling to solve those questions. So I had that list of questions with me, and I used to solve topic-wise tests or questions from any book. Let's say I used to solve 20-30 questions on each of these topics each day. So that is how I tried to improve in the difficult area that I had. So that was about the day, about my preparation before 1 month.
I think Abhi, if you observe, Prasad used to take 2 mocks a day. I particularly didn't exhaust much. I took like 3-4 mocks maximum in a week. So even taking mock strategy is different for everyone, right? So you have to understand that what suits you. If you are not burning, the only criteria is you should not burn yourself out. That कि तुम टेस्ट दे रहे हो और तुम्हें मतलब जम नहीं रहा है कि even if you are not getting the score as much as your capabilities, right? So इतना भी burnout नहीं होना है. As much as you can take the mocks based on the analysis is must actually कि तुमने एक mock दे दिया before going to the next mock you should improve some aspect based on your previous mock. तुम्हें analyze करना है, you have to take some of the insights from that mock and then you have to give the next mock. So वो एक aspect है.
Yeah, so just
Hmm.
to sum it up, I think about the mocks, whichever number of mocks you are taking, make sure that you are not repeating the same mistake in the next
Hmm.
mock again. So if you are encountering a difficulty in one mock and you have analyzed it and you have solved it again, so you should not face the difficulty in the same question again. So I think that covers most part of the it. Yeah.
Also, just a similar thing related to it. Someone has asked that what were your scores in Feb. So I I feel that you should not look at your scores, whatever it is coming. So because most of us have a scores a month before the exam, it was drastically decreasing, and is because obviously there is a lot of stress factors that's involved, and as I earlier said that it is a stress management exam. So how well you manage your stress is more important. And rather than looking at your score, what you should do is like you should look at the rank which you are scoring. So just target that you are in the top 5 or top 7 of the whichever mock you are taking. So focus on that part, and you would be good to go. Instead of focusing on scores and stressing, even if your scores are decreasing, I think it's very natural that your scores will decrease. So you should not at all worry about it. I remember before a month of my exam, I also scored 100 marks in one of the mock. No, in the other mock, I scored 105. So it was something that at that time I felt that okay, what is happening? But eventually, that at the end of the day, it is just a mock that you have to practice, and actual exam will be something very different, and you should focus on the final D day rather than the individual mock that you're taking.
Here is one repeating question. Is it possible to crack 99.99 if basics of LR are clear starting now? So my take is that you should not aim in like the top percentile right away. At least तुम्हारा जो bench, क्योंकि last test में you won't know exactly what kind of percentile you are getting. You may be able to predict कि तुम्हारा test कैसा गया और what kind of approaches you had during your complete set of questions. तुम्हारे दूसरे slots का भी there will be different kind of percentile. So percentile is not something you can achieve. एक control नहीं कर सकते directly. इवेल्युएशन परसेंटाइल का जो मेथड रहता है द इक्वी परसेंटाइल मेथड दैट मे आल्सो बी नॉट देयर इन द नेक्स्ट सीईटी दे मे कंप्यूट फ्रॉम विथ समथिंग न्यू मेथड राइट so the percentile is something you should not focus right now. Focus on rank and how you are taking the mocks. So जो कंट्रोल में फोकस ऑन दैट एक सेट ऑफ बेंचमार्क्स लेके चलो. एवरी मॉक आई विल improve XYZ फैक्टर्स. मे बी ये मॉक्स में आई कुडंट सॉल्व ज्योमेट्री का क्वेश्चन, मॉडर्न मैथ के क्वेश्चन. In the next mock I will solve those questions if they come. LR may be same. If you are not you said you covered the basics of LR, right? So watching the concept videos and actually be able to apply in those concept in the test are two different things. In the mock, if you feel that some of the LR questions are tough, then you should leave those right away. तो वहां पे भी even though your concepts of LR are clear, you should be able, तुम्हारी ego पे नहीं आना चाहिए. You should be able to अवॉइड दोस क्वेश्चंस. तो पूरा स्ट्रैटेजी तुम्हारे मॉक पे ओवर और स्प्रेड आउट करना है. तुम्हें कोई पर्टिकुलर फोकस पे नहीं रखना कि एलआर में करना है, वीएस में मेरा कंसेप्ट क्लियर, आई वांट टू सॉल्व दोस क्वेश्चन. तुम्हारा स्ट्रैटेजी स्प्रेड आउट होनी चाहिए 200 क्वेश्चंस पे.
Yeah, so I think that covers most of the part of it, Jaydeep. There is one question on the vocabulary. So I am very weak in vocabulary. How to overcome that for CMAT and MAT? So see, I think vocabulary is one section which will be helpful to you not just in the CET or any exam per se, but it will be helpful to you in the MBA and your further career also. So you can prepare it from any source, I think. But there is one book, I think, the Norman Lewis Word Power Made Easy. So I think you can devote some time from your day to learn from it, learn new words from it. So around 15 to 20 minutes each day. If you learn 10 to 15 days each day, I think that's good enough for the CET or CMAT or MAT for any exam per se. So I think that's enough preparation for the vocabulary part.
Yeah, I guess that covers how you should prepare for that. There is one question which mocks to take more or less on those lines. So any mocks that majority of the people take, that mocks you can favor in. Primarily based on I had ELC and test funda mocks, and people prefer other mock test series as well. So it's not like you will get the good score in one mock only. You have to make take 2 3 mocks. That I would recommend. Prasad and Shubham, you can have your take here.
Yeah, so I think whatever mock you take, I think you should aim for as Shubham said, you just aim for the top rank, I think. And uh, uh, regarding the variety of mocks, I think you should take variety of mock because each mock package can have the different variety of mocks, I think. So you should be prepared for any level of CET that will come to you. So I think giving variety of mocks will definitely help on the D day.
Yeah, so I would just like to add something. Why variety of mock is important in this the scenario right now is because as CET is changing its pattern every year. and something if something comes something outside of the box, so you should be right in the situation that you should be able to think what can be done in that particular situation. And giving mocks which are from different resources, different mock providers would be like a good idea, so that it prepares you for the D-Day. So just you can give as many variety of mocks as you can, and just don't, again, as I said, Vicky, don't just think that if you give another kind of mock and you'll score less. Okay, that will happen, but what it will do is like it will prepare you for the worst. So I will say it's okay if you score low, but just give and try out those mocks, and it will help, definitely help you further.
Um,
Someone has actually asked how to score 30 plus in cons. So yeah. Uh, for cons, I would suggest that you have to practice as much as you can. What I did was I used to solve some of the questions from the TTP like booklet, the on e-booklet which was there in the TTP portal. So I have solved that particular booklet, I think thrice or something. Like I have solved many times because found those kind of questions very useful. Uh, the actual CET questions that used to come, I found in that particular thing. And eventually that used to make me revise all the concepts because most of the concepts were covered in that. So I think you that was a good option for me. Other than that, if you want a variety, I think you can also like check on different websites. You'll get a variety of questions to solve those kind of questions. Also, not only solving is important, you have to also find ways in which you can solve those questions quickly, because in cons it is not important to solve the question, but it is important to solve the questions in the right amount of time. If you're taking anything more than 1.5, 1.5 is even more. If you are taking anything more than 1 minute, it means that the question selection is wrong. You can skip that particular questions and come to it at the end of the test. So that's how you can think of. Also, DIs is something that are very common. The same DIs are mostly repeated. There are 5 to 6 I think varieties which you have to work on, and once that is done, you get the shortcuts for it and you can solve each and every DI. So that's it about comps.
So I think the key here would be to keep a track of what sort of question that you have done previously. So because I have found CET very repetitive in nature with respect to questions they have given in the CET. So I think they more or have the similar concept in their application. So if you are covering a specific set of questions, I think after some point of time or after some threshold of mocks, I think you will start noticing that the questions are very repetitive in nature, or they have more or less same concept that is applicable in it. So I think keeping a track of questions that you found difficult is very important while solving the cons specifically. So yeah.
Yeah, here I have a thought here. So, in quant or DI or LR, the as Shubham mentioned, the structure behind the questions repeats it, every year. Like there are limited set of frameworks, like struct in the ways you can solve those questions. In our and most of the cases, the questions are pretty straightforward. They are not too much of the concepts combined in a question itself. It's more like one concept at a time. At least in the quant that I observed. In quant, personally, I had arithmetic formulas learned by heart, the all the ratios and different tricks of allegations, kind of those structures. I made a formula book for that. So even when I got a question in front of me, I just had to identify what kind of structure I should write in the way I want to interpret that question. I will just read the question, write particular numbers, and then just mark the right answer. Based on that, it's my understanding that you need to understand what kind of interpretation you have for the particular type of question. The language may be jumbled up, you may have different terminologies or different wording, but just the identification of basic framework, like how you want to approach that particular question, it's also important in quant. So my suggestion is maintain a formula book kind of. You can find the cat ones on the online, you can just search for it. And even if you fail, you can just write your formulas or the approaches you discover over the period. You can just mention those and practice that.
Yeah, so I think the most popular question right now on the stream is, I think, what was your what? Please talk about your final mock strategy individually. So I have mentioned my mock strategy, I think, few minutes back. So maybe you can watch that when the session ends. But I think Shubham and Jaydeep can definitely add to what was their mock strategy in the CET.
Sure, Prasad. Yeah, Shubham, you want to go ahead?
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So, my mock strategy is that I wanted to tackle one question at a time, because I remember in the last test, the exam day, we had some issues in the interface. There was this question palette was not particularly working, so we were not able to see which kind of questions we are marking or on which question we are currently were. So, my strategy was I need to go from one question to the last, one question at a time. My strategy was particularly solve the question in front of me right then and there, because I felt I did not have a liberty that tracking of time. Coming back to the questions once again, so I improvised in that scenario. So particularly, I followed the rounds method, starting from one question to the last, and I did not bother about if I went from. I started 10-20 questions, solved those, and I felt those are difficult. I found that I should be, kept myself motivated after solving those start initial question, because if those questions were difficult, I would get demotivated for the next questions. So I wanted to avoid that. So the coming up with that mental capacity key, I don't want to get disheartened after difficult question. That was crucial for me. So rounds method and keeping my motivations high throughout, irrespective of difficulty level. That was my strategy for the final exam.
Yeah, so talking about my strategy, so like I have tried multiple strategies, and it is not like that a single strategy will work every time. It also depends on the mock that you are taking, if it's a difficult mock or it's a easy mock. There are also different factors that are involved. You have to just try and test which strategy will work for you. What I used to do in my like final before my final attempt, it was like I used to go and do the easy questions as soon as possible. So also with that, I had a time constraint that within, let's say, a hour, I should complete at least 60 to 70 questions, because or there was something some benchmark that I have put in. So I used to target that, and even if it was not achieved, I used to cover it in the next half an hour or something. So there was a constant uh, method that I used to follow, that do the first easy ones, then go on and solve the medium ones, and then the hard ones, as Jaydeep mentioned, that he used to go on rounds. So this is what I feel used to work. And because actually it helps in even if the pattern was cheap, even if it's sectional or if it's a jumbled pattern, you can work on this, and uh, this actually gives you a higher accuracy, because you are going through the paper at least twice or thrice. So, and you are not skipping any of the easy question. So this is what has helped me.
I think that covers the mock strategies of three of us. Coming to the next question, I think Sai Pandey is asking which topic is very much important for CET in quants and LR. So maybe I can add to the quant section. So for quants, I think getting hold of the concepts of arithmetic is very important. So uh, if I have to name such topics, I think profit and loss is very important topic for the CET cons. After that is simple interest and compound interest, time and work, speed and distance. After that, the mensuration part, probability part, and I think the permutation combination part. I think these are the types of questions that you will encounter the standalone questions also, and you will also face these concepts in the data sufficiency as well as the comparison type of questions also. So I think these are the topics are covering most of the part of the quant section except the DI and the quadratic equation. So I think you should have a hold of this concept very clearly. You should revise these topics daily, because there might be some new concepts that you may encounter on the way. So I think these are the few topics you should focus on to get good in quants. So maybe I think Jaydeep and Shubham can add to the LR part or quants part.
Yeah, so additional to the quant, in case of LR, I think most of the aspect, if you see, those are covered by puzzles only. So if you find banking resources where most of the puzzles are solved, like linear arrangement, circular arrangement, I think floor based also are there. So they follow a simple structure, the way you tabulate the different labels, or maybe there are three variables, maybe color, car, and persons, whatever. So the way you tabulate those the question, the variables or the data given into the question, that is crucial in that aspect. So puzzles is one of the easiest uh, kind type of questions you can tackle, because they follow a similar framework. You just have to understand how you should be able to interpret those questions, because there are set of structures only where you will be able to tackle those. And apart from that, let's say syllogisms for one example. If you can understand exactly how you could write the myth, if there are blood relations or syllogisms, the way you write the diagrams is also gives you understanding how you can interpret those questions. Maybe during the words you get confused, but writing that properly using symbols and write diagrams, those help in those cases. Just an example, in blood relations, we used to write boxes for males and circle for females. If they are married, we used to join by two lines, and if they are sibling, by one line. So maybe those kind of symbolism you could incorporate during solving those questions.
Yeah, apart from that, in LR, you can also focus on standalone questions because in LR there are no tricky questions that can be asked. And apart from puzzles, I think the most important questions are the standalones, which are like the direction sense, then the what will be the next number in the series, coding, decoding, and all that. So what you can do is like you can practice those kind of questions as much as you can, and by practicing it, you will get the hang of it that how it can be approached. There was also someone who asked in like how can he solve the number series questions in quants. Again, I would say that there are patterns which are repeated again and again. I remember I had made a booklet which had around 10 or 15 series, different type of series that were there. And every time I used to get a new series, I used to write it down, and then used to solve it. So after a point of time, we just realized that okay, this kind of the flow in which I should think of. Okay, it can be a different series or it can be something a multiplication series. So there are only a 10 or 15 series that you need to check. Apart from that, in CD, there are no complexes that are asked. There are no very much miscellaneous or anything that can be asked. So if you get about that, if you track all those things, it will be very useful for you.
So I think Shubham's point definitely stresses on the importance of taking notes. Not just a number series, I think in any section, if you're facing the issue and if you are encountering questions where you're finding difficulty, it's very important to take notes. So please keep that in mind when you solve any topic or any mock.
And when taking notes, you should have it in the one place, right? So that happened with me. I used to take mark different formulas and structured in different notebooks. So later I chose that I will get a screenshot and compile it in a computer's folder. So that way you can just based on how you prefer, you should consolidate everything that you take over the period, so that you can have all those in one place. Um, there is one question: can we mark flukes up? So I think opinions will differ here. Personally, I would prefer you to not mark flukes, because mocks are not for competition competition with others. It's like you get the rank, but that one aspect for it. But you need to have understanding of what are your current capabilities. Marking flukes will not give you the right idea about where you stand currently. So try to avoid that. Maybe in last week you can try a couple of mocks with flukes, but I would suggest not to do that right now. Even because CET doesn't have a negative marking in the exam, you can mark anyways. irrespective of whatever you have solved.
Yeah, someone has asked that what do you think, guys? 140 is a score to get a seat for sure. So, yeah, so I think Shubham has covered that part very well. I think you should not focus on one score because scores can vary as per the difficulty level of the mock. So, what you should focus on is getting the top rank in that mock. So, I think top 5 or top 10 would be the thing to go or something to aim because you just can't predict how you have fared in the mock based on your score. Because in easier mock, I think someone would have scored 160 to 170. So in that case, I don't think the 140 is the benchmark score for JBIMS. So I think you should aim for the higher rank in the mocks. And yeah,
To add on to Jaydeep's point that what should be the approach in marking the flukes, I'll say that since only a month is remaining, there can be two different ways in which you can do. So first of all, marking flukes also takes some amount of time. Let's say 3 minutes or 4 minutes. It will take. So what I used to do is like uh, I used to leave end the exam 5 minutes before the timer. So this I had it in my head that I have to keep those 5 minutes for marking the flukes. So this was the one thing I used to follow. And even if you're marking the flukes, I'll suggest that be real in like while analyzing the marks. The actual score, you should know the actual scores and you should know how much you have got by marking the flukes. If you can or like separate both of those things and you are good at you are good to like put in that extra amount of efforts in separating those things, then yeah, you can mark it from now as well. But if you think that no, right now this is something that you cannot do, I'll suggest that keep last 5 minutes for marking flukes, and you can end the exam while giving the mocks 5 minutes before the exam. So you have that subconsciously in your mind that okay, you don't have 150 minutes to complete the exam. You have only 145 minutes to complete the exam. So you can proceed in that way as well.
Cool. I guess we have covered majority of the section, so we can wrap up. Can we wrap up, Shubham Prasad?
yeah, sure. I would just like to take one last question of Ankita. I think she's asking calculation mistakes are happening. See, I think calculation mistakes are bound to happen. I think you can only overcome it when you subconsciously think while solving those types of calculations or any speed math questions or any calculation for that matter of fact. So I think the accuracy will only come when you will increase the solving your intensity. So the more and more practice mocks you take or more and more sectional tests or topic wise tests you take, I think you will be more comfortable psychologically while dealing with the calculations, and you will be more confident about your calculations in one go. So I think that will be the one strategy. So practice more and more about the calculation. So and I think you will be good at it.
So you can just focus on like remembering the squares, etc. Uh, the ratios that are there, 1/2, 1/3, all those things, these are very handy, and you can like most of the things that come in CET are within this like 1/1 to 1/25 or 1/30. So if you learn, if you have this thing in your mind, it will be very easy for you to do the calculations. So this will help you. Other than that, squares, cubes are something that you should know very well. Squares till 30s, cubes till 20 or whatever it is. So this will help you guys really. And for the mistakes in calculation, what you can do is initially start it slow, solve it slow. Don't get into a hurry that I have to get the answers. And even if it gets 10 or 10 seconds more to get you to the answer, it's okay. Take it slow. And once you get a hand of it, you can increase your speed anytime. So that is the thing.
Cool then. I guess I think we have answered majority of the questions. And if you think your question was not answered, I think most of the parts could be repetitive. So you can just watch this live once again. And if those questions you feel that you were not answered. But and apart from that, different section wise strategy, I think on the TTP channel you can watch earlier videos. There are explanation, detailed explanation for that. And once again, yeah, thanks for everyone for joining. Let's close this stream right away. And if you have any questions, like you can comment, maybe we are able to answer those questions there. We will solve those. And yeah, man, everyone, all the best.
Yeah, thank you, Jaydeep.
All the
Goodbye,
best,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, ending here.